Jó napot kívánunk! Nádas Tímea vagyok. Először is köszönjük szépen mindenkinek, aki ide látogatott meghallgatni a kis előadásunkat. Természetesen nagyon sajnáljuk, hogy idén nem tudunk találkozni személyesen a Reménység tavánál, de mivel nagyon fejlett a modern technológia, így szerencsére virtuálisan elő tudja adni az ifjúsági csoport az anyagot, amivel készült. Az előadás egy rövid, angol nyelvű áttekintés Trianonról.
Hello, good day, folks. I am Nádas, Gyula. I'm very sad that we're not all meeting together in person this year at Ittot, but true to the spirit of Ittot, the Ifjúság group, or the youth group, would like to share something that they've learned this summer about a brief history of Treaty of Trianon, and they would like to share that with you. So with that, I'll pass it over to the Nádas boys, who will be representing the youth group this year.
Hello, today we will be presenting on the Treaty of Trianon. This is a brief historical review by Draven, Maddox, and Xander Nádas. We will be going over what is Trianon, who is involved, why did it happen, and its effects on current-day Hungarians.
First, let's start off with what was the Treaty of Trianon. It was a forced treaty between Hungary and France that took effect between 1920 and 1924 and still left a humongous mark on Hungary today. The conditions were that Hungary's army numbers would fall down to 2.5% of its original size, so from 1.4 million people to 35,000 people. Hungary also lost a terrible 72% of its land, from 125,642 square miles to 35,936 square miles. The treaty would also end the war between Hungary and most of the Allied power. So as you can see here, this is a picture of the Austro-Hungarian Empire before the Treaty of Trianon. Notice how it basically dwarfs the other countries in Europe. So take a second to take it all in. This is a picture of Hungary after the Treaty of Trianon. Notice how much land has moved off from Hungary and to other countries, such as Yugoslavia, Austria, Czechoslovakia, and Romania. So take a second to take this in. And this is another representation of how much land moved out of Hungary. So the black lines represent the modern country borders. It's representing after Trianon, and the colors it represents the borders before Treaty of Trianon. So take a second to take this.
Many countries were involved with the Treaty of Trianon. France and Hungary are the main people involved. Romania took most of the land, giving them a 46.49 increase, or 5,300 square miles to 114 square miles. The Treaty of Trianon was developed as a peace treaty to end World War I and also to give France new nations to stand up to Russia or Germany. As we've mentioned, the treaty also ended up taking an enormous 72% of Hungary's land.
As for geographically, when it comes to modern day borders or even just changes within the nearby countries, Hungary's border has remained unchanged in these last 100 years. But some of the countries that nearby, Czechoslovakia or Yugoslavia, have changed or split up, as in Czechoslovakia is Czechia and now Slovakia, and that happened January 1st, 1993, and Yugoslavia has turned into Croatia and Bosnia. And the three regions where most of the Hungarians have been put into a different country, like Erdély or Transylvania, which still remains in Romania, Carpathoia or Carpathian Ruthenia still remains in Ukraine, and Felvidék, which is a literal translation to Upper Hungary, remains in Slovakia. As for what people think within the borders of Hungary, 2/3 of the citizens do believe that our lost land should be given back, and they believe it should happen after the expiration of the treaty, which has happened June 4th, 2020, but as we can certainly see, none of those borders have changed, and people are still very upset and worried about the lost Hungarians.
Thank you for listening to our presentation.
Még egyszer nagyon köszönjük, hogy meghallgatták a felvételünket.